Deva Sutang Devam Kangshachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagad Gurum. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I salute Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of the demons, Kamsa and Chanura, and the Guru of the world, Jagat Guru, and the adorable God of the universe. We salute him again and again. Om, peace, peace, peace. So we are reading Bhagavat. This is the story. We are in the chapter 4 and page number 157. It starts. The Krishna now is trying to finish his divine play. And then Uddhava, one of his prime disciple, he was always as an ardent devotee of Bhagavan, used to live with him, and he is very much shocked to lose this association with the Krishna, the Lord Krishna, who is his heart and soul, who is his mother, father, everything of life. So that Uddhava is talking about how that the question put by the what is that? Life story is by what is called the Uddhava talking to the clan of it is called the Vidura. Vidura. So there is not much philosophy in it, but it is a story within a story within a story. That is the way the Bhagavat works. So herein we find that Bhagavan knew. He destroyed all the other demons, but in his own family members, they become very arrogant and powerful. And they kill themselves. So he knew that will happen. But to Sri Krishna's unique characteristic, it shows that how he lived in that way, was super fully detached. Knowing fully well, he saw his whole life is the story of detachment. So this is the example of that. So Uddhava is talking here on the chapter 4 of the book number 3, verse number 1. Afterwards, these Jadavas, they went and have some deep in the ocean, and then they went to the Prabhasa, joyous mood to Prabhas in their chariots, and bathed there in a holy chariot. And from the chariot they came down and they took and performed the rituals, worship of the gods and rishis and the pitris, means forefathers, and then gave so many gifts and everything, as is the normal ritual they should do, and presenting various gifts to the holy people, brahmanas, etc., in a spirit of offering to the Lord. These heroes of the clan of Krishna made low prostration on the ground. And Uddhava then continued, afterwards these Jadavas took their meal, and then they drank intoxicants. After doing all these rituals for their forefathers and others, they started drinking intoxicants. There is wine and type thing. And as it happens, losing their wits thereupon, they began to abuse one another in the most offensive manner. As it happens when you get intoxicated, You do not know what you are saying, what you are doing. So they naturally started behaving unmannerly. And when the sun set, by the sunset, the effect of intoxicants made them completely senseless and drove them into the violent physical conflict, like bamboos in a bamboo grove. You have no idea. In a bamboo grove, the bamboos, when they rub each other, it makes such noise and it falls upon each other, and it is not destroyed, but it is inch by inch conflict. The Lord, seeing his Yogamaya in operation, this Bhagavan planned this way, that these people are becoming haughty, their family members, because with the power of Krishna, they are born in that same family. It happens, no? Father is rich, very well established. Son is the son of such and such big guy. Naturally, they become very arrogant and powerful. And all these people of the family, they become like that. So young, youthful time, they started insulting holy people, which is the anti-characteristic of the teachings of Krishna. And so the Lord, seeing his Yogamaya, it is happening. Here is the question. Everything happens in the world by the will of God. God, Lord, wanted the destruction of them also. So that is how he does. He does by his yogic power. That Yogamaya, that means Mahamaya, by his own power, through which he creates this universe. He maintains this universe, and he also destroys this universe. The three powers are all God's power. And in Hinduism, then they are not coming from a demon. That is the beauty of Hinduism. The creation also, God plans and creation happens. God protects, the creation continues. And God himself wishes to destroy, to have recreation. That's why Hindu Trinity, creation, Brahma, Vishnu, maintenance, and Shiva, destruction. So destruction means destruction of the old, rotten, to regenerate. No? The house becomes dilapidated, then people break that house. And breaking is bad, because it hurts our sentiment. It was, we lived in that house for so many days. What happens when the fire starts and building start burning? Huh? But sometimes you see that it's one side of this, but after that you find insurance company comes and this and that, they have new houses. So destruction is apparently the destruction, but it is by God's will it happens. So here he says, the Lord, seeing that his Yogamaya, the Maya power of yogic Maya power in operation, bringing about the destruction of his own clan, his own family members, purified himself in the river Saraswati. That means he take a dip in the holy river, whose name is Saraswati, and sat under the shadow of a aswattha tree, this type of tree. It's a banyan tree, aswattha group. That means a big giant tree. He took a bath. The Lord Krishna then took a bath and sat there. The Lord means the Krishna, who redresses, the redresser of the sorrows of those who take refuge in him. He takes away the sorrows of those people who take refuge in God. He had told me even at Dwarka. Me means Uddhava. Uddhava, the great saintly person who was a sannyasi monk, and Uddhava Gita is there. Famous Uddhava Gita. So took refuge in him and told me means Uddhava. Uddhava is still then with Krishna. So this is the story going on. that then all these things are going on. Then Krishna took a dip in the river Saraswati and then sat under a banyan tree, a satta tree, and at that time he had told me, even at Dwarka, and he told this story at Dwarka. At the time he resolved to bring about the destruction of his clan, that I should go to Badri. Badri means Badri Narayan. That is in the high Himalayas, there is a holy place. It's called Badri Narayan. Krishna's place, Narayana's place. Even after knowing the plans of the Lord, I, means Uddhava, unable to bear the separation from him, continued to follow his footsteps. So even he said, okay, now you leave me, I will go and die, but you go and live in the world, preach my message, give this message to the whole humanity, and live joyfully. He asked, that Uddhava asked Krishna, how shall I live? You are giving up your body. How shall I live? There is nobody in my life whom I loved so much and only support. You are my support. Then he said, okay, Tvang tu sarvan parittajya, you giving up all, everybody, everything. Tvang tu sarvan parittajya grihang sajana bandhusu, your home, your own friends and your relatives, samadrik, with the eye of equanimity, that God is everywhere, looking in the universe in that vision. Bicharasagam, go out and live in the world like a wandering monk and see that it is all God's play going on in the world. So with this, that was the advice he gave. Then he said, still he followed him, and this is the last point when Narayana, Krishna, took a dip in the river and sat under the asatta tree.
It doesn't say that how Uddhava came in Krishna's life, right?
Here it is not said. So, going after him means Bhagavan Krishna, the abode of Lakshmi, Sri Devi is called Lakshmi. I found him, my dear master and the Lord, sitting alone on the banks of the Saraswati, absorbed in the consciousness of Atman. So Uddhava said, there I saw the Narayana Krishna is sitting under the Aswattha tree and is deeply absorbed in meditation, thinking of the self. Blue in complexion, absolutely pure and calm, with serene eyes tinged red, distinguished by his 4 arms and yellow cloth, having his right leg placed over the left thigh, leaning against a small banyan tree. I found him, Mani Krishna, seated absorbed in Atman, after abandoning all worldly enjoyments and paraphernalias. So he has renounced Bhagavan Krishna, renounced because he was the king, he renounced everything, and then is meditating and sitting under the tree. Just
Something says Uddhava was Krishna's cousin brother.
Maybe cousin brother, okay. Just at that time there arrived by chance a great sage. His name is Maitreya. So he was meditating, Krishna meditating on the bank of this river Saraswati, and that time a great devotee, a close friend of the sage Vyasa. Vyasa is who? Who composed this Bhagavat, who have divided the 4 Vedas, Riksham, Jaju, Atharva Veda, compiled them and then divided into different. So that sage Vyasa's friend, he is a great sage, Maitreya. So Maitreya suddenly appeared there. In the course of, he was all over the world, he was doing pilgrimage all over the world, And he happened to appear on the bank of Saraswati, where Krishna was planning to leave the body, so he's closing his eyes in deep meditation. While that great sage stood there, with his head bent, and in devotion and joy, the Lord, Krishna, spoke to me with a smiling face and loving looks in the hearing of the sage. The Lord said, when Krishna said, seeing that sage Maitreya, what he said? Being the resident, the Lord said, what he said? 11 verse, page 158. Being the resident of the hearts of all, I have understood all that you have in mind. He said, Krishna says, I reside in the heart of all, so I know what you are thinking. So I understood that you, all that, what you have in your mind. I bestow on you that illumination of consciousness which people without devotion can never have. So he says to Maitreya, or he says that I confer you the freedom or the knowledge of the consciousness. That is the Vedantic practice, no? Vedantic practice every day to know that consciousness is behind everywhere. There is only Satchidananda. So I confer that illumination. God can give it by His kindness. For in your, why I am giving you? Because you are not, in this life, whatever you have done is not enough. You have done in your previous life great austere practices, and you observed spiritual disciplines. As a result of that merit, your mind has become pure. So I am now conferring. That means in our life, spiritual illumination is the goal. But not that we have all done such good charitable activity or meditation and practice. So those who have done, suddenly we find that they are progressing very fast. God's grace coming on them. Some people are not. So not to worry about that. The other person also did austerities in other life. We have to do austerity now if I have not done it. So this is the point to be learned out of this lesson. And Bhagavan says, you did not, you in this life we don't see that austerity or anything, but in your previous birth, your name is Vasu, you worship me in great jagna performed by the Prajapatis and Vasus with a view to attain me. You did great austerity and jagga. Jagga means sacrificial fire, etc., to attain me, to reach me. You didn't do the sacrificial fire for attaining heaven, attaining name, power, position. You can do the same jagna for varied purpose. So your purpose was to please me and to get my darshan. This birth of yours, in which you have become an object of my grace in its fullness, in this life, people see the greatness of your character, where my greatness is manifested through your life. In your last birth in this cycle of the births of deaths, so that last birth, because of that austere activities, austere service you did it, because of that, the last birth, that's why you are having instant grace from me. So this is to be understood. Sometimes we say, oh, if this grace, I would have been born in Ramakrishna when he was here. It does not work that way. You must have some merit. You must have some qualification. And that qualification or that quality you have to accrue. You have to absorb by your own sincere practice. Spiritual life does not just become, people talk about that, some miracle way, doing some unnatural way, you will get the illumination. those don't stay. Real, genuine realization will depend on your purity of your heart, the love for others, your sincerity, how much you are thinking of the good of others, how much you are less jealous, egoless, how much you are egoless. All these characteristics, it needs much pure practice. So you have all this, and that was your last birth in this cycle of births, and now you are the last birth. Your last but one, last life you did so much, and this is your last. So that moved by the highest devotion, you have been able to follow me and see me in the solitude at that time. When I am about to leave the world of men, it's a rare piece of good fortune for you. He says, "Oh Maitreya, it is a good fortune." How we say coincidence. No, not coincidence. Your good karma has brought this to happen. So we should not just throw everything in someone's hand and not do ourselves anything. It is more important is that Maitreya has done so much so that his good karma of the past life has brought him where he was a wandering monk in the whole India he was moving, and he happened to come when Krishna is giving up his body. How much we call coincidence, but it is not coincidence. It is your karma has brought you there. Your good karma, your spiritual practice has brought you where you are now. It is a rare piece of good fortune for you. In the Padma Kalpa, at the time of creation, I imparted to Brahman, who occupied my navel lotus, that spiritual knowledge which reveals my supremacy. So I have expressed in a time of creation, I gave it to Brahma. Brahma is the creator God. So I am the Lord of the universe. I gave him the wisdom and the spiritual knowledge which reveals that I am the Lord of the universe. I am the highest. Learned men call it the Bhagavata. So I shall reveal that to you. So he says that I have learned that story of the Bhagavata. I will let you know. Uddhava's submission and Krishna's reply. 14th verse. Hearing these words of the Lord, I, who am anxious to have his continuous grace, here I means Uddhava, continuous grace, said in faltering words, with horripilation all over my body and tears flowing from my eyes out of excessive devotion, I said, O Lord, for those who adore you, which is the ultimate values of life, dharma, artha, kama and moksha, is difficult to attain. He says, O Krishna, O Bhagavan, for those who adore you, worship you, which of the four ultimate values of life is difficult to attain. That means you are practicing for dharma, righteousness, artha, the collection of money, fulfillment of desires and liberation. It is difficult to attain. But, O Lord, I seek none of these. That's why in our meditation, in our time, sometimes said we offer God all the four fruits. Four fruits are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Righteousness, dharma. Artha, collecting money, wealth, prosperity. That may be another goal. Dharma, artha, kama, fulfillment of the sense experiences and joys, and knowing all these ends in time, moksha. I want to get out of the troubles of life, moksha. These are the four goals naturally human being had. But there is a higher goal, that's the devotion. So he's saying, O Lord, I seek none of these dharma, artha, kama or moksha, these four. I seek none of these, as my interest is solely in serving you. I want to serve you. That's it's called Diyamanang Nagrindanti Matsevanang Bina. in Bhagavat says in another place, that if you is a real devotee, he is given any spiritual power or higher control over gods and goddesses, so wealth, prosperity, fulfillment of desires, even given. But real devotee does not get entangled into it. They go above it, they reject them, because that cannot give eternal joy. So that's why they give up. In the Nachiketa, in the Upanishad says, when the Yama, the god of death, was telling him, you child, you are asking for which is that beyond death, which is beyond time, tell me that truth, I want to know. Why a child like you are asking all these questions? I will give you plenty of wealth and prosperity. I will give you life, 100 years, no, not 200 years, 500 years. Javod ichet, as much you want to live, I will give that life. I will give you all the pleasurable things in the high heaven which is available. Singing, and don't ma uparatsi, oh Nachiketa, don't ask me all this high, final truth, absolute, beyond time, beyond space. Don't ask all these things. Then Nachiketa said, oh Lord, you are great, thank you. But let your all this dancing and singing and all the glories stay with you. I want to know the truth of immortality. Tell me that. Tabaiva baha, tabanirtagite. Your singing, your dancing, your long life, your with all enjoyment of the senses. I don't want. Let it be with you. Please give me the highest wisdom. So here also said, Buddha was saying, it is difficult. Oh Lord, I seek none of these, as my interest is solely in serving you. I want only to be with you and to serve you. Even the knowing ones are puzzled about your conduct. No? If the rishis, they are puzzled with the divine acts of the Lord. When Ramakrishna was there, those who lived with them, they are puzzled. They see that he is sometimes breaking his arm, he is crying. He is the God of the universe, he is crying because his hand has broken. Why his hand will break? He is God of the world. Can he not cure instantly? So it is very difficult to, that's why it's always difficult to live with a great person, because you see him as ordinary like us, their behavior, their anger, their frustration. So Ramakrishna, how to understand? He is God himself. That's why he said, even the knowing ones, even those who are very spiritually developed and knowledgeable in spiritual life, once gets puzzled about your conduct. Your conduct means your behavior. People say, oh, he has so many queens. She played with so many girls. She played with so many girls. Hey, what type of spiritual person is this? But that is a wrong concept. He split himself in thousands. He is God himself. So his activity is, even the knowledgeable people gets puzzled. Your action, while you have no sense of agency. You do all these things, but you have no ego sense. A child plays so many things. A child is a source of joy to everyone. But child's actions always detached. Child has no identity with anyone, but he actually plays and attracts the whole attention of the whole family and others. So God also is like that. When he comes as incarnation, that divine play is very difficult to understand. Like Christ came, he knew everything. He planned, he knew that he will be putting into cross and this and that. He could have escaped very easily. Why he knowing fully well does that? That's a puzzling thing for our ordinary people. I will be falling into trap if I know already somebody told, don't go there and there is some trap for you. Your life is in danger. What shall I do? I will never go. That's it. I will try to save myself. But who is there? Why God? Knowing everything, He is there, He is residing in the heart of everyone. And why He plays like that? It's a puzzling thing. It is Maya's action. So your action, you have no sense of agency. Your birth, while you are beyond samsara, you are born, it seems, but you are beyond all the birth and death cycle. You appear to be born. Say Krishna is born, Christ is born, Ramakrishna is born, but there sometimes they call their immaculate birth. Immaculate birth, a child is born. How is possible? Puzzling. Some people say it is too much unscientific. Don't talk about that. But in Ramakrishna's life, I cannot say that. Ramakrishna's father was in one pilgrimage, hundreds of miles away. And mother was in the village. And mother had a vision. She saw the light of the Shiva. Shiva's light engulfed and entered into her womb. She felt some baby. And the father in the distance, hundreds of miles away, in the pilgrimage, yes, he saw in the night time the Lord Narayana with 4 arms, which are reading. This Narayana appeared before him. And his father, he said, I will be born in your home. And in the dream he said, I am ordinary poor Brahmin. What shall I do? How shall I feed you? Don't come. But you know, I will take care of myself. And that thing happening, and mother already conceived a baby there. That's why it's called immaculate birth. How it happens? You understand. That's why it's called puzzling. It is puzzling to know that you have no birth. How can you be born? How can you be like a baby crying? Baby cries and the cradle. She cries not in his crib. So, but a baby cries. That is the normal thing. Baby does not cry. So all this behavior, and so the God of the universe is born in a manger. How this absolute God of the Lord of the universe, Ramakrishna, born in the most poor family in the village of Kamarpukur. But his father's purity, dedication, respect for spirituality. Every village person will stand up when his father used to just walk out of respect. So God comes over there. So this is very difficult to understand. That your action, while you have no sense of agency, your birth, while you are beyond all this samsara, means coming and going, birth and death, your flight before the enemy, while you are the time spirit that consumes everything. You are time is under your control. And you are, with the enemy you are fighting, while in the time of spirit, in the time, the timeless is working in the time. So it is very difficult to understand. Your involvement with the thousands of women while you are ever immersed in the innate bliss. You are divine. You are always absorbed in your infinite bliss. And also we see that you are a king, you have so many queens, you are enjoying the pleasurable life. Oh Lord, my mind loses its bearings in wonder when I think how in the deliberations on the affairs of the state, you, who are the all-knowing and uninhibited consciousness, used to seek my advice with great earnestness. That means Uddhava. He used to ask Uddhava for suggestion. God asking for suggestion. You find in the Gospel of Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna asking the doctor, how shall I be cured? Oh doctor, please make me cure. Like a child. So how can we recognize that you are all-knowing? You know everything. You are the all-knowing consciousness behind everyone in the absolute sense. and you behave like this. It is really, really, O Lord, your knowledge, that, O Lord, that knowledge which you did impart to Brahma, by which one overcomes the travails of the transmigration easily, be gracious to reveal into me if you could consider me fit. So my prayer, O Krishna, please help me. O Lord, please help me, that impart that knowledge of Brahman so that I can become free. So you have done that same to Lord God Brahma. Brahma created this universe. You gave that blessings to him, so give me that blessings. 19th verse on page 159. To me, who had thus conveyed my heart's desire, the Lord Krishna imparted the highest knowledge about the Atman. So he then conferred the knowledge to me, having received instruction on the supreme truth from him, who is the object of worship of all. I prostrated before him, circumambulated him, and came over here with a heart aching because of the separation from him. He's talking to Vidura, that I, after being all these things, listening and getting his blessings, and he wanted to be alone, so I came back from there. I, who am both overjoyed for having met the Lord. It's my great fortune that I could meet the Lord at the last moment of his life, and received enlightenment from him. He gave me the wisdom. I didn't have any own power, so it is God who gave me, by his grace, gave me this experience. And sorry, I am both happy and unhappy. Happy that I was blessed to see the Lord before his departure, and he kindly gave me the wisdom. And I am sorry because I had to part him from him forever. I will not be able to leave him, see him in this body anymore. I am now going to Badrikashram. He asked me to go to the Himalayas and in the great place of pilgrimage. Still now people go in thousands. And so there in the Narayana's beautiful murti is there, which is very dear to my Lord. There the Lord Narayana and the Rishi Nara, the Nara and Narayana. There the Lord Narayana, the creator of the universe, and the Rishi Narayana, Nara, Rishi Nara, the sage who is called Nara, intent upon the good of the world, are performing tapas. Nara, a human personality, but he is a sage. He is performing austerities in the high Himalayas, and beneficent which for the purpose are performing tapas. Why? For the good, beneficent in effect, intense in nature, lasting till the end of the kalpa. So he is always doing austerity and prayer for the good of the whole world. So that's a great spiritual place of vibration. So Krishna told me that you go and live there in the Badrikashram. So that is the holy place. 4 holy places: Kedarnath, Badrinath, Rameswaram, or Dwarka. And also Himalayas we have 4: Gangotri, Jamunotri, and then Kedarnath and Badrinath. Kedarnath is Lord Shiva's place, and Badrinarayan is Lord Krishna's place. And beautiful Krishna Murti is there. There is a story in the book with Swami Prabhupada, the founder of this. He heard that Turiyananda Swami and who else, 2 together were going to go to the Badrikashram. Raja Maharaj was there maybe. But so much crowd. Kedarnath. Anyhow, so somebody came out of the temple inner shrine and priest-like and took them to the inner shrine and placed them in the front. And then after seeing that, they were overwhelmed with and so many people are standing in row. But when they came out, they saw that the same door is all locked, and they started finding, where is the priest? It's a small place. It's a small hillock. I went there. So there are not much place to go. And priests are only few numbers there who are performing puja every day. But when they came out and had a great vision and darshan of Lord Narayana, Krishna, they were filled, and they started to find out, where is that priest gone? It is a miracle. Everything is closed, but suddenly one priest came out of and pulled them out and took them, and they entered into the inner shrine, and they have their darshan and vision and everything, and then they moved them out, and the door is, but when they came out, then they saw that door is locked. Hundreds of people are waiting in line. But where from that man came, how they took him, how they opened the door, and how they take him to the inner sanctum and sanctorium. So they are overwhelmed. So Nara, this says Nara. Nara means human. Another sense, Nara, we are Nara, human. Nara. Nara is one Nara.
The person who took them inside, when they went inside, usually the Thakur is here, we are facing him. But the priest didn't stand facing the Lord, but in the same way, like that, face to face with the devotees. So, and also it was, I think, Otilananda was there because of his foreign skin, so he may not go inside. So he took inside and then showed. Then when he came out, then they were thinking who it might be. Then that struck their mind that the Lord himself, otherwise he stood in the same row, not facing like this.
Yeah. So that is so Lord is still very vibrant, living there. A right type of devotee, God plays with them and gives this type of mystery. The entire temple is locked, and people are waiting to get in, and suddenly out of that one somebody came and entered the door and shut it, and then you have the special grace, and then you go, and again you found that the door is closed the same way. Who took you? How did you enter into that? Those are the questions, because they thought Lord himself came down to show grace because of their pure heart. So now the Sukadev said then, the Vidura was very much grief-stricken on receiving the unbearable news of the death of all his friends. But by his power of discrimination, he controlled that sorrow. Now comes Vidura. Vidura is that he was the uncle, Nakikar, uncle of whom? Yudhishthira and the 5 brothers, their uncle was Vidura. Vidura was a very wise person. He always wanted to give advice to Dhritarashtra to stop this war. Don't behave this way with the Arjuna and their family. You are not doing justice. It is their right. Give them the right thing. Because of that, Duryodhana insulted Vidura, and true. And out of his own dignity, he left. And he was wandering in there like a monk. Though he was a king, no. So he said that Vidura was very much grief-stricken when he heard all these stories that Krishna left the body. Krishna has already left. It is Uddhava was talking all these stories. Uddhava standing with the Vidura. Then he said, Vidura was very much grief-stricken on receiving this unbearable news of the death of all his friends. But by his power of discrimination, he has a man of yogic power, or he has spiritual aspirant with a discrimination, analysis and a discernment. he checked himself, his emotions. Vidura thereupon said as follows in great confidence to the highly devout Uddhava. Uddhava, Vidura then talking to Uddhava, one of those whom Krishna had made his own. Uddhava was very close to Krishna and who was now on his way to Badrinath. And now that Uddhava is going to Himalaya, to the Badrikashram ashrama. Vidura is talking to Uddhava. Vidura didn't know because Duryodhana insulted him and he left the kingdom and then went around the pilgrimage. He didn't know that what has happened. So when he came, that it was great war happened and both of them were killed. Hundreds and thousands of his friends, relatives, they are all killed. So Krishna had made his own when he know, so he was very much grief-stricken first, and then he, by analyzing the impermanence of the life and Atman and that knowledge of truth, he reconciled himself. And Vidura then said, please impart to me that supreme knowledge about the Atman which Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, revealed to you. She is asking, Vidura saying to Uddhava, that you, in the last time you heard from him the message of Vedanta from Bhagavan Krishna, tell me what you have heard. For devotees of the Lord like you go about only to benefit others who resort to them. That means you are only living, as Krishna said to Uddhava, that, "O Uddhava, you need not have to die with me. You, with the eye of equanimity, go around the world and preach my message." So it is Krishna's order. So you please tell me, Vidura is saying, because I have not seen him last. I didn't know the war is over and so many changes have happened in between. My friends are all gone. So what was the last message? Uddhava, you got it from Bhagavan Krishna. Please tell me. That's why the Uddhava Gita is also called last message of Bhagavan Krishna. So probably that will be a part. That book we'll read it here. The same Uddhava Gita is here. We need not have to read separately Uddhava Gita. Uddhava Gita we'll read it here. That is the Uddhava is asking Uddhava. Vidura is asking Uddhava, what message you got it? What is the last instruction Bhagavan Krishna gave it to you? I was not present. I want to understand and listen to that. So he said, Uddhava said, verse number 26, it is the Rishi Maitreya who is ordained to impart the knowledge of the truth to you. Before the Lord passed away, while I was standing, Uddhava said, while I was standing by him, the Lord is giving up his body, I heard him commanding the Rishi in that wise. Thus Uddhava spent that night on the bank of the Jamuna, as if it were a moment, engaged in conversation with Vidura, thus assuaging the heart of separation from the Lord by speaking about him and his nectarine excellences. You know, when you love someone, you grieve and be in bereavement. But when you find a such friend who also used to love him, then you start conversing with each other. And that will give you peace in the mind, you know, talking to each other. So in this way, Uddhava spent the night with Vidura and talking about Krishna, Krishna's glory, Krishna's life. It happens on our human life also, it happens. Someone who is common. I loved someone and you loved someone. And when that friend is that object of love, that person is gone, And when we meet together, what will be our conversation? Always talking about him, his glories. You will relate your stories about him. I will relate my story. It happens for worldly people. And Krishna is the attraction. The Lord of the world is the point of discussion. No? And then whole night passes. In Baranagar monastery, Ramakrishna's disciples, when after Sri Ramakrishna passed away, when they used to sit together, they used to talk to each other like that, talking about Krishna, Bhagavan, Ramakrishna, this story, that story. Each one had a different story, no? Not that everyone is at a time with Sri Ramakrishna. So someone knows what happened when he was there, someone knows another part of it. So this is the nature of our human life. So the Uddhava and Vidura spend the whole night in conversing about the Lord Krishna and his glories.
Is it true that because they had that desire to stay with Krishna longer, and that desire kept their life running? If they didn't have that desire, then they could also drop the body when Krishna dropped his body.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That is the God's play also. Otherwise, how we will know all this conversation is going on? Because of that. And then when you speak and when you write down, it becomes so big. So they're talking about so many stories. So it takes long time when you read. But when they're conversing with each other, it happens within a short period of time. The king said, what is the king? King, now go back. It's very difficult to go back and forth. Now go back to the king, Parikshit. The king said, while all the leaders of the armies of the Vrishnis and the Bhojas thus perished, that means Vrishni means the lineage of Krishna, and the Bhojas, they are fighting with each other. All the big war is over. But Krishna's own family members, they started fighting with each other. And while even Hari, the Lord of the Trimurtis, Hari means the Krishna, Narayana, who is the Lord of the Trimurtis, means Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, had to leave his human body. How is it that Uddhava, who is one of the chief of the Vrishnis, commander, alone survived? Now question is that if everyone is killed, how this Uddhava got saved and untouched in the war of Kurukshetra? Sri Shuka said, because he wants to know that his forefather, so how he survived in the war. Sri Shukadev then said that the king is the Parikshit and Shuka. That was the fundamental point where the Bhagavat started. The king was cursed that he will die within 7 days. Therefore he was thinking, what, now these 7 days, how shall I spend? So he wanted to know and think in such a way that last days constantly saturated in mind, they will be leaving the body. And that discussion, they are coming back. In between Uddhava, Vidura, these, that, so many. To keep track of those, you need a good brain. So I miss most of the time. But anyhow, their story within the story within the story. And again coming back to the original. So back and forth, no? So now they are talking about that the Sukadev said, the Parikshit, the king Parikshit, questioned that when all the leaders of the armies and both the Vrishnis and the Bhojas are perished, while even the Hari, the Lord of the Trimurtis, had to leave his human body, he also, Krishna Narayana, left his physical frame. How is it that only Uddhava, who was one of the chief of the commanders of the Vrishni Kur family, he survived? And Sri Shukadev started saying, when the Lord destroyed his own clan, it is by God's will it has happened. His all family members are killed. How? Because God willed that way, that they will also be cursed because of their immoral activities, pride, haughtiness. As you were saying, that rich person's family child gets spoiled because he does not know what is called suffering. He does not know what is the difficulty of earning money, how people suffer. No? So they become little outgoing. So the Lord destroyed his own clan by his irresistible destructive power under the guise of Brahmana's curse, and was himself about to depart. He must certainly have thought in this wise: when I have left this world, then Uddhava, the best of the spiritual men of this time, will alone be left in a competent recipient of the supreme knowledge of concerning me. Why he did? Something has come up here. Look at it. Something has come up. It comes in odd hours every time. Remind me for uninstall or something. So, when I leave the world, that means Narayana says, when I will give up my body, I'm keeping someone who knows everything about me. And he will be propagating the message from place to place, so that people in posterity will recall these stories and find a path to be freed from bondage. That's why, that is the purpose of God's coming. So somebody should be there. Say Vivekananda was there. Swami Brahmananda were there after Ramakrishna's passing to propagate his message, his life, his purpose, how he did for the good of humanity, what he did and what he left the posterity, what is his message, who will carry on if there is an authentic person who can. So Uddhava was that authentic person. That's why it says, when the Lord destroyed his own clan, and he must certainly have thought of this wise, that when I have left this world, then Uddhava, the best and the spiritual competent recipient of the supreme knowledge concerning me, Uddhava is in no way lesser than myself, for he is never perturbed by the objects of the senses. Lord thought, as I was so pure, so Uddhava was so pure. So he is the fit candidate to spread this message. You know, spreading some message is always very complicated. Unless the mind can receive in toto what is the teaching of the Ramakrishna or Christ or Buddha, he will give the message, distorted message. No? In the classroom it happens. In our school, college classes, the teacher teaches the same thing. Why so many students understand so many ways? And one bright, brilliant student understands rightly, he gets A+. And why in the same class another boy does not get it? Because recipient, the ability to receive the message is difficult. It's different in different. So Uddhava was pure. So he had the capacity to retain that what he has heard from Bhagavan Krishna. So let him remain in the world. That is the purpose. Let him remain in the world to instruct men in the knowledge of my real nature, who I am, Krishna. To say that, let there be this gentleman who is called Uddhava. Directed accordingly by the Lord, who is the teacher of all the worlds and revealer of all scriptures, Uddhava went to Badrikashram and communed with the Lord in Samadhi. Thus Vidura heard from Uddhava all about the Lord. And there, this Uddhava told all this story to Vidura. Because he said this, So it is retained in the history, and that we are getting it written down. How the body he had assumed for his playful manifestation, means Krishna. How he achieved many great and glorious things. How he gave up that body as worthless trifle, an act which gives encouragement to men of discrimination, but gives only fright to the worldly and animal-like men with minds full of desire. For us, giving up the body is a question of fear. But in person of knowledge, giving up the body is, they find joy. Because you are getting out of the cage of this body, which has restrained your power. No? And the knower of people of knowledge and the people of discrimination, they will find joy when death comes. They don't get fearful. And those who are attached to the world, they want to hold on. Last thought, that's why. They will be happy. Even some people in the hospital, we hear many stories. Doctors are saying it is fatal condition, but he does not want to die. He still wants to live. Why? Clingingness to the body, clingingness to maybe some person, some money, some wealth, something in the material world which we cannot hold on. But a spiritual person can smilingly give up his body. So Uddhava belongs to that group. So he says that how he gave up the body as a worthless trifle, an act which gives encouragement to men of discrimination. Those who are every day thinking body is not eternal, mind is also changing, I should not cling to that. Rather I go back to unchanging reality. So they will be happy to make this transit. But the worldly minded but gives only fright, fear to the worldly people. To the worldly people means animal-like men with minds full of desires. And how he remembers him, the Vidura, in his last moment on the earth. Remembering all these, Vidura cried aloud in paroxysm of the divine love after Uddhava had departed. When Uddhava left, then Vidura became alone, so Vidura then cried out of bereavement, though they are highly spiritual, but in human emotion, apparently. Vidura, who was thus blessed by the Lord, left the region of the Jamuna and within a few days reached the place on the bank of the Ganga where the sage Maitreya lived. So, this is the end of the chapter 4 of book number 3. We will start next day chapter 5 of book number 3. So this is 36 verse we have read. In this way, we have not read, but we have just run through the lines, no?
But they need to know class instruction on Bhagavatam.
Yes. So we end our class here today, and I will be a little out of station. So, Tuesday will be the next class. Is it? Okay. So please watch when it will be my next class. It will be probably Tuesdays. This Bhagavat class is cancelled. So
the next class will be 4th October.
4th October will be the next class. This 4:30 class. And of course evening 7:30 class will continue, though I will be not here, but other Swamis will be giving. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. So now little question answer. Questions, 2 questions are here. When Ramakrishna speaks of the heroic mode of a worshipping Ma, is that like Madhura Bhava? Why does the master call Girish a hero when his Bhava is more like Shanto or Daso? Oh Ma, it is very serious question, Baba. Ramakrishna's talk of the heroic mode speaks of the heroic. Is that like Madhura Bhava? Heroic mode, Bir Bhava, Madhura Bhava. You can match something of it, but we need not know. We should take that attraction for their attraction, how that attraction can be used. But in Tantra there is a different way of worship, so they say like that. So you think more on that subject. I am not going into it now. Second question is, every day and after every practice we have to surrender all karmas, good and bad, to Bhagavan. Ultimately even good karma is bondage. But as a spiritual beginner, won't I need good karma to help me to achieve moksha? A very good question. At the end your good and bad all is to be given up. But what shall I do now? Shall I not do good karma and avoid bad karma? True. There are stages. I have to transcend good and bad. That's the Atman. Atman is beyond good and bad. But I am in that, not in that stage. So where I am now, I should give up which is bad, which is worldly, which drives my mind down to the lower plane. I will avoid anger, frustration, jealousy, all the characteristics which are even a good person in the society don't carry. So that's why Swami Vivekananda said, be a gentleman first. That means be a polite, gentle person in the society. Then you think you are spiritual. Spirituality is on the foundation of the morality and good character. So to build up a good character, we will avoid negative things. First step. And when you have achieved that level, then good is not good. Good karma take you to good place. You will go to heaven. That's also more fun place of enjoyment. You forget God. Remember in our day-to-day life, when the day of festivity comes, singing going on, dancing going on, this puja is going on, this is going on, even good karma. How much you can think of God actually in that mood? The day, rather we learn more in suffering. When good days come, we forget God. So good, always going in fun area, in fun zone, you forget God more. Therefore, we don't like good also, because good gives you heaven, which prolongs our illumination. Illumination when now, I am the support of infinite joy. I can get it now. And you are interested in going to heaven, good karma, you stay in the good karma for thousands of years there. And then after finishing that karma, again come back here. And again do austere spiritual practice. I don't want heaven itself. Then you dive deep. So it is better to go first to be rich, to know what is good and bad, give up what is bad to be good, and then give up good is not good, because good is also bondage. In the Swamiji's sannyasi, Song of the Sannyasis, the golden chain and iron chain. Golden chain is not less bondage. It is much more bondage. If someone puts me in a gold chain is bondage, but it's gold. Oh, it's good. Even it is bondage, but it is much more bondage it comes because of gold value. So it is not good for spiritual life. They don't care. Bondage is bondage. Get out of it. Someone hates you, that's a iron bondage. You get angry and you get reactionary. Someone loves you, that's a greater bondage. It is difficult to get out of that bondage. So that's why for a spiritual person, both are to be given up. And another question, how many Gitas are there? We have heard from you Bhagavat, Uddhava, Shanti, Ashtavakra, Guru Gita. Yeah, as you have mentioned, you can just Google search. Google will tell you how many Gitas. You have mentioned the Uddhava Gita, Shanti Gita, Bhagavat Gita, what we normally know, that Gita, Guru Gita. Yes, so many Gitas are there. Many. But the teaching is the same for all. Realize God, that is the point. Huh?
Here is one more question.
How can we increase our devotion to God? How can we become more spiritual while living in this material world? Yeah, that is all the purpose. We are listening for that purpose. Here, when we are listening to these divine stories, our mind becomes pure. When we go to holy places, our mind becomes pure. When we sing songs, bhajans, kirtans, that uplifts. We read some good book that will thinking about the divine. So we have to engage our body, mind and emotions in right direction to think about what is increased. Money, you think holy, more holy. Narada Bhakti Sutra talks about it. You do satsanga, holy company. This is holy company. We read the book. That's a company of the holy thoughts, noble thoughts. Worldly, mundane thoughts are not bothering or are not entering into us now. So this is the way to keep the mind in lofty thought. Will make it our progress. And avoid gossip, avoid negative thinking, avoid finding fault with others. These are the messages in all the scriptures are talking. So we should be careful how we spend our time. Our time is not eternal, but we can utilize it in a positive thinking. We can also utilize it in negative way. And if we engage in negative way, time will go away. Result will be negative. But if one can engage in positive thinking, positive result will come. The mind will be peaceful more and more, and the mind will be pure more and more. As the mind will be pure, you will be drawn to think of God. You will be feeling the love for God. Without even you will not like the company of people who are talking other thoughts, other words. Some devotees I find, they say, I don't like these things. These people are talking about. There are so many things going on in the world, no? Even good things. But what shall I do? Why not I utilize my time for my spiritual growth? And that inclination will come in their mind. They will not rejoice. Some people say, I used to entertain all these things before, but I don't like anymore. I don't enjoy those things. So that will happen by constantly doing japa, repeating the holy mantra, praying, reading good books, not spending any odd time, rather sleep. But don't spend time in nasty, negative thoughts. So these are the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, and live in the world detached. All these teachings are there, so they can help us to make the mind pure. And when the mind will be pure, it will run for God. You cannot stop it. As the impure mind always runs for the worldly things, jealousy, hatred, this, that will be very much deep. So similarly, when the mind will be pure, you will have to love God. Love for God will be more and more and more as the mind becomes pure and pure and pure. It is our responsibility how we do that and how we don't do that. How long we spend in this way. The whole 24 hours, God has given us 24 hours equally. He is not partial, that I have given 24 hours to you or me less 20 hours. No. But king to pauper, the most wise to the most fool, all are getting 24 hours time. And how one is utilizing, for what purpose, that will be the growth. So if we want to grow in spirituality, the 24 hours, how we can make the best use of the 24 hours available. We sleep, we eat, we talk so many things. But we are also to think that it is that we are to use this time for the greatest purpose, the noblest purpose. So I think that will help us to devote our time. Okay, Jai Ma. So thank you all for attending, and here ends this class. We will be meeting you again at 7:30 for the Shanti Gita. Thank you all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.